What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Brown, and this is Heresy Financial. On Friday, it was announced that China has banned 100% all transactions of all cryptocurrencies. This is in preparation for their own central bank digital currency, and it seems like this is giving us a little bit of a glimpse into the future of what the monetary system will look like around the world. Because many people right now who are paying attention are looking towards the future and saying, hey, after this whole global monetary reset, after everything falls apart, if the dollar is dethroned, or maybe not if, but when the dollar is dethroned from that global reserve currency position, what does the future of money look like around the world? And so I'm going to share some insights with you today on what this move from China makes it look like we might expect going into the future in terms of what the new monetary system will be that emerges from the rubble after some sort of a reset or a collapse. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, so it comes as no shock to me and probably most people out there that China has completely banned all cryptocurrencies. No buying, no selling, no nothing. Can't have anything to do with cryptocurrencies inside of China. And I don't think this is a shock. I don't think this is a surprise. And it's very clear that this is in preparation for their central bank digital currency. As they're rolling that out, they don't want any sort of competition. They want to make sure that it goes well. Now, this is in stark contrast to some other moves that we've seen by some other countries, like El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as its national currency as legal tender. Now, obviously, those are kind of the two extremes on what you can do with a potential form of money. You can either make it your legal tender, you can make it your currency, or you can completely ban it whatsoever. And I don't believe that either of these is going to be the last time we see this. It is very likely that we're going to see many more countries completely ban all cryptocurrencies. It's also very likely we see many more countries completely adopt Bitcoin or something else as their legal tender that's different than a fiat currency, as has been the norm for the last 50 years. But it's not just those two extremes that we're going to see. We're going to see a lot more in between as well. Like, for instance, what it really looks like we're going to see in the United States is we're going to see just a complete closing down of many, or if not all, of the stable coins if they can, because those are going to be things that are going to directly compete with something like either just regular fiat or their central bank digital currency, like if we get a Fed coin soon. And so they're going to come up with regulation to stop those kind of things. The network effects of Bitcoin are a little bit too large to be able to completely kill off. And so what will likely happen with Bitcoin, let's say in America, is you're going to see a lot of guardrails go up, and you're going to have Bitcoin legal, but you're going to have all of the on-ramps and all the off-ramps tightly monitored. So maybe you can't hold Bitcoin in private wallets anymore, or maybe you can only hold it with exchanges or wallets that are reporting, doing things like 1099s, like you have in a brokerage account. They do things like, KYC or know your customer, so that they're collecting all of the information like, social security number, name, date of birth, that kind of stuff that you get with like a regular brokerage account. Or they just say, okay, you can own Bitcoin as long as it's in something like an ETF, because you can only get an ETF through an avenue that already has those guardrails built. And so what I think we're likely to see in America is a kind of like a hybrid model where you're banning a lot of things that would compete with your currency from a monetary policy standpoint. So you can enforce the usage of a CBDC, but you can still access things like Bitcoin and a select other few through the monitored rails that they're allowing. And then the other thing that we're likely to see over the next 5 years, 10 years start to emerge is countries that back up their currency with gold again. Countries like Russia, many countries across Eastern Europe and even in Southeast Asia have lots of gold relative to their amount of currency, especially relative to countries like the United States. And they're continually buying more and more gold, and it's their central banks that are doing this. And if you have some emerging countries like in Latin America, or like countries like El Salvador, that start to experience a huge wealth effect. Lots of wealth coming in because of their monetary freedom due to using Bitcoin as their money. You're going to see other countries that fall behind, let's say from the Bitcoin standpoint, but they already have a lot of gold. You're going to see a lot of central banks and you're going to see a lot of countries start to push gold and really start to ramp up and lean heavily on gold, since that's what they have, in order to compete compete with Bitcoin. And so countries around the world might, I know it sounds ironic or paradoxical, but you might see gold really stage a comeback from a lot of central banks around the world in competition with Bitcoin. Because if capital, if wealth, if people are fleeing to free countries where wealth is easier and more free, and the benefits that you get from a monetary system that is built on sound money like Bitcoin, you're going to see other countries have to compete with that. And at that point, then their only choice will be to compete with that with gold, because they don't have the advantage of being the global reserve currency like the United States, so they can't just legislate it. They don't have the advantage of having a command and control economy like China, so they can't just legislate it in a different way. And so I think we're going to see this glimpse. What we're being given a glimpse of right now is we're going to see a new monetary systems emerge in competition with each other. We're going to see hybrid systems like in the United States, where you have access to things like Bitcoin to hold for wealth purposes. You can't use it as money, where by law you're forced into just using the CBDC as money. You're going to have systems that are completely more totalitarian, like China, where you can only use the CBDC and you can't even access anything else. They don't have the more of the sophisticated financial markets like we do, with all stocks and ETFs and mutual funds and brokerage accounts and all that. And so you have those kind of systems, and then you have the systems all in between, where some say, hey, we're going to try out Bitcoin. Some say, hey, we're going to push gold again. And you're going to have all of these different monetary systems start to pop up in competition with each other. And it's going to be pretty messy. What I don't think is going to happen is what a lot of people are kind of like waiting for, which is, hey, dollar dies one day, and then the next day another country has their own currency that just replaces the dollar as the global reserve currency. It doesn't look like that's what's going to happen, because when you have systems that over time systems oscillate from centralized to decentralized. You have systems that it's like kind of like a pendulum that swings back and forth from one direction to the other. And when you're with a monetary system globally, we're pretty much at peak centralization. It doesn't seem like it can get much more centralized than this, which means that it starts to create its own enemy. It starts to collapse under its own weight, and it fractures. And that's how you get it swinging back to the other direction, where you see decentralization, because everybody then just chooses for themselves their own money, at least from a country, a national perspective. And so a fracturing of the global financial system, leading to popping up of different financial systems that are based on different money as their foundation, and competing with each other. And over time, then you'll see the wealth will eventually flow, and the people will eventually flow to the places that treat them best, and where wealth is easiest to grow and most friendly and most welcoming to them. And you're going to see those places flourish more than the others, and then they will emerge as the new dominant systems moving forward, just by nature of they succeeded and the others did not. Now, as to which one will win and how long that will last, nobody knows. If you look at history, obviously history would tell you gold is likely to reemerge on top. It has been relegated and then re-advanced and come back up to the surface as the solid foundation of money many times throughout history. It's lasted for thousands of years, and so that would suggest that it's still got quite a bit of time left in it. But things change sometimes, and so it's not clear what the future of money will be. But it does look like we're in for more of a fractured monetary system in the future, rather than where you have to worry about, if I pick the wrong one, then I'm just out everything. Might as well diversify a little bit, because there's likely somewhere you can go that will have chosen something that you have exposure to. That's why, in my opinion, it's not worth it to put all your eggs in one basket, because it could fail. So have some Bitcoin, have some gold, have some silver. Diversify geographically, because we don't know when everything kind of falls under its own weight, where the winners and the losers will be following when everything starts to emerge out of that fractured new competition for monetary systems around the world. If you don't know how to get started with gold, silver, or Bitcoin, I've got my recommended resources linked in the description below. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.